ready? So,
here we are.
Here we be. I always like to start with the lovely, lovely Anneshirley. Good evening, Anneshirley.
Good evening. How are you?
It is wonderful to see you, darling.
I'm always loving it at the Roadhouse.
That's right.
Yeah.
How's your weekend been?
It was a great weekend, actually. So I explored Muir Woods and went down to the Devil's Slide on Highway 1. It's an old bunker from World War II that's been like deactivated, just chilling on the Highway 1.
Oh yeah. I know where that's at. Close up to Pacifica, right?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, I know where that's at.
Yeah, so went out there and saw some graffiti all over the bunker, but it was a great time. It was relaxing and really appreciate being here and being able to explore different like histories in our community. It was a good weekend.
Awesome. Chris?
Highly stoked.
What's up, brother?
Got out to go to Santa Cruz on Sunday with a friend for the first time in a while. Hit the beach, did some skimboarding, fell in the sand real hard a couple times.
Oh, nice.
Great. Yeah, it was real nice. So,
how's the rash?
Improving. Better than a sunburn. Yeah.
Interesting correlation.
Northern California in February, you can get into the ocean.
Yeah.
Without a 4 mil bodysuit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is impressive. What was the water temperature like?
Cold.
This is fascinating podcast conversation.
Warmer
than temperature.
Warmer than where I grew up. So yeah, the Puget Sound in the Pacific Northwest is not quite freezing, but probably almost as close as you can get. Right.
Yeah.
The thing. So yeah, it was. As soon as I came to Northern California, I'd be just jumping in the water at Santa Cruz any time of the year. Like, oh, this is fine. This is fine.
Wow.
As long as you can still inhale. When you're doing it, you hit the cold water. You're like, that's Washington water. So,
I've been there. That's the Sierras as well. But you got to do that.
It feels.
Go to the Sierras, that snow melt. Just get in the right mindset. Bam, jump in there, and it does take your breath away. My Lord, it does. It's fascinating.
That's right.
So we don't have a guest tonight. We've got more wonderful guests lined up for the next few weeks, starting with Eric Drew. Next week, he's the founder of WeHeal.org, as well as the Eric Drew Foundation. A absolutely incredible story and a mission that I think is terribly worthy, and so I'm looking forward to having him on. I think we're going to play some of the Hard Souls band tunes, I think next week, possibly, to do some acoustic stuff. And then we've got, I think Daniel, our new friend Daniel's coming down, and he'll be gracing us when I think we're going to play some Subaqauria tunes.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, which I think is maybe what we should start out with tonight, is kind of talking about what everybody's doing and kind of where we're going with this, what we've learned thus far, maybe, that kind of stuff. But I think, segue right into it, Chris, you've got some news coming up this Wednesday, right?
Yeah, that's right. So this Wednesday, probably about the time this podcast is airing.
Right.
My
6 p.m. Pacific Standard. am I going to advertise this before?
There you go.
I always have a problem with that concept.
On Wednesday, I'm dropping my debut EP for my project Subaqauria. It's called the Too Far EP. And all the major streaming platforms. And I'm really excited. This is the first music that I've released that's really my own, written, produced, and played.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's you've worked very hard on it.
Yeah, very hard.
Very hard.
It's a good quarantine project.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
Spent a lot of time in my room.
Nice.
You have new artwork. Do you wanna pop that up?
Yeah, I'll go grab that. Yeah, absolutely.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
This was not done in-house. He'll explain who did this artwork and all that stuff, but it's worthy to bring out.
Yeah, quarantine projects matter.
I do. It will be interesting to see what comes of this, year and a half, 2 years.
I think a lot of people have been kind of putting time into creative projects.
Yeah.
Or
My
Netflix.
brother's one for sure.
Oh yeah, right. You mentioned that. Yeah. So this is the. I guess I'll get it on the camera. There, and there. This is the art for the Too Far EP by my friend Lalo, a really talented artist, and it kind of covers. Stop holding it up now. It kind of It kind of covers the vibe of what I was going for with the music in this release, and a lot of the things that are important to me as a songwriter and just as a person in general. Feeling small amidst the glory of nature, and really just being amazed by the beauty of the world. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to capture in my music, and the art reflects that.
How many songs on the EP?
So there's 2 like fully produced songs, Into the Desert and Too Far, and then a couple of bonus tracks for for people too, demos and stuff.
Nice. So we just listened to the first 2, the fully produced ones. Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Again, you worked really hard on it. I think the mix, for anyone who pays attention to that kind of thing, I think the mix was very well done. It's very well produced. The second song, the guitar solo was just smoking. That's real. Like my reaction was Guitar Hero. Like that was real Guitar Hero kind of stuff there. You know,
it was just so impassioned. You could really identify your sound through the way you were playing. And go ahead, but it was great. It was definitely good.
Thank you.
stuff.
Yeah. That makes me feel really good to hear. That's kind of part of it, you know. Yeah. I like to write songs and everything, but I still think of myself primarily as a guitar player, as a musician, and I think a lot of that just happens to be how I'm able to express emotion in the best way.
So as the question is often proposed, and you considering yourself a guitar player first, how do the songs come about?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think like a lot of songwriters will say, it's like, it really depends, right? These 2 songs were written quite a ways apart from each other. The first one, Into the Desert, I started it in the middle of a trip to Death Valley in Christmas 2017. And so I was sitting at the edge of these large cliffs, multicolored, like you get in Death Valley, watching the sunset over the hills. And I just kind of felt inspired in that moment, and I happened to be carrying my little backpacker guitar with me on my back. And so I just said, screw it. Like, I'm just going to sit down here and start playing and saying the first thing that comes to my mind. And what ended up coming out of that was, and the time dilates back and forth through my mind, which is that line in the chorus of the song.
Right.
And then so I sat on that for a while, and then kind of I just ended up writing it a little bit more over the next few months, and that pretty much became the version that you hear now, except with a lot more production and other elements to make it sound more like a desert. And then
there's is in there, is there not?
Yeah, I took a couple things that I wanted to make it sound like kind of sand swirling around, and then the sample at the beginning is like a really kind of distorted lo-fi kind of thing that's just supposed to. Well, I'll let the listeners decide what it's supposed to do, but yeah, it's got that kind of vibe to it.
It's good. The tone on the guitar that you have in the kind of bridge section where it does come down, and that you have that real low growl in one of the guitar parts that matches the kind of thing that's going on, that really caught me. That was a neat element.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I put a lot of thought into the sound design, and it's funny because when you're doing that. So I guess to go back on the process thing, right? I like to generally write a song, right? And then go and take that once I can play it on the guitar and have the words, when I've sat down and let the words come to me or over several iterations, then sit down and kind of perform it and put that into the computer and then see what I can do around it to kind of emphasize the different parts and make them really pop, and see how I can serve the song through that medium. So, yeah.
Is there an impression that you want your listener to take when they're listening to your music?
I mean, I'm sure there's definitely a message that I want to get across, and an impression I'd like people to have. But what I want to see how it goes with when people consume it and see what the reaction is. That'll tell me if I've done my job or not. Yeah.
Very cool. So we'll put up on the screen where everybody can check it out. But it releases on Wednesday.
Yep. And
please go ahead.
I was saying, yeah, under Subaqauria. That's sub like submarine, Aquaria like Aquarius.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. Like I said, we'll put it up. All right, Anneshirley, girl, I'm just going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
What's going on with you? What's going on generally? What's going on with the Unfriendly Black Hottie podcast? What's happening?
So I am the host of Unfriendly Black Hottie, and we just ended season 5. I'm really proud. You all have really been supporting the content, and it's my baby's growing. I don't know. It's just so dope to see like everyone come through and support the podcast and hear me preach. So season 5 is done, and season 6 is coming out next week, Wednesday. And so that's one project that I've been working on, and I've been trying to find peace in California. I really like this idea of feeling small amongst the vastness of things that you brought up in your music. I feel like I'm living that in my real life by going out into the woods and looking at redwoods and just being one with nature. So, yeah, I mean, and I'm working. And I'm at the Roadhouse as well and meeting new people, which is awesome. Awesome. So that's what I've been up to. How about yourself? What's new?
Well, certainly heavily entrenched in Roadhouse business and all that's coming with that. We're going to be announcing soon. I've been hit up now by a few different bands on when we're going to start booking for this season. And I think we've decided on doing 20 shows. And out of those 20 shows, there'll be 30 available slots.
Ooh.
Is the way we're going to run it. And we're going to start booking June dates first and holding the first few weeks kind of open, because we're going to wait until the weather gets, right, which I know right now it's like the weather's pretty right. Yeah, I think that's why everybody's hitting me up. They're like, oh, so you guys do anything on the stage right now? Like, it's 70 degrees. And I'm like, man, no. But so we'll be booking, like I said, 30 slots. The date's starting in June, but we'll start booking that. I keep telling people, it's 3 weeks away or something. It's just an organizational thing and getting the podcast going and other stuff that I'm working on right now. That I'm really excited about. The Red Stories, produced podcast that I'm scripting out right now, and it goes along with my storytelling and I've got the first kind of 30 minutes ready right now out of, I think, what's going to be a little over an hour production. But in any case, so there's just a lot of stuff going on, a lot of good stuff, and all the painting that we're doing too. We the other night we had kind of just paint fest. Yeah. I don't know. It was Alive in the Hive is kind of the way that I described it. The two people back there, the man and the woman, came out of that, and the wood spirit back over here came out of that. Oh. And then when Christina flew into town, she's been our featured artist for the past 4 episodes. Starting next week will be Alicia, who does a lot of this stuff with me. But Christina brought in this Mountains, a painting, which is one of my favorite of hers. And so she's bringing that into the Roadhouse fold now. But yeah, so lots of stuff going on. So anyway, we'll start booking the show for the music acts in the next. I'm going to dedicate to it and say in the next. Oh, that's some dedication, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get it out. Try it again. 3 weeks. Next 3 weeks, we'll start booking.
All right, putting it on my calendar.
Yeah.
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 Nice.
Hey, Austin, have you done it yet?
Yeah, right.
Hey.
That's right. But it's going to be good. It's going to be a good year, guys.
So stoked.
I'm very much looking forward to it. We had, in the middle of all of the craziness of 2020, we were able to find a way to keep ourselves pumped, and moving forward and inspired. And now, hopefully, there's some normalcy coming. Normalcy, I don't know what that is, but there's some easing coming that we're going to be able to get to do our thing again, and that's exciting. It's exciting.
I remember back in September, we would talk, and you were kept on going like, we got to find the pulse for the winter.
Right.
We got to find the pulse.
Yeah.
And it came together.
It did. Yeah, for sure. No, I
What
think
does the pulse mean?
It's kind of a concept we have down here.
So when there's an organism, right? That organism has some kind of a pulse to it, and a collective of people is in itself some kind of environment, some kind of an organism, right? And so when, especially in the strange year we just had, and with very little in the way of resource, to make sure that the organism as a whole stayed healthy, right? You can't overrun it, nor can you let it become sluggish. You had to find that median, right? That collective pulse of what this organism is, and in being conscious of it and trying to make sure you just don't disrupt it, but just keep it healthy. Yeah.
I love that idea of this being a culture or a place where it lives and breathes, and you don't want it to burn out. You have to pace yourself.
Right.
You have to recognize what the flow is.
Yes.
You want something to show for the thing.
Yes.
You want it to have longevity. So all of these, when you say pulse, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
If you're not, if you imagine trying to find a metaphor off the hip right now, but the idea of a sprinter who goes to run a marathon.
Right. That's a good one.
Right. They're used to having this fast jolt, hard, heart rate acceleration very quickly. And because they only need this for a short amount of time. Right. And so that could easily be done. It's like the excitement that we have down here. It's exciting. We're having a good time. It's very positive. We talked about that in the first episode. Everything's been very positive. It's all been headed in a good trajectory. But if we take off and just drive it hard, when we're still kind of here's another metaphor for you. When we're kind of breaking in the motor, right? In the first first 500 miles of your new car, you need to make sure that you break in your motor appropriately. But it's true. It's true. And so it's just understanding that. And trying to, again, nurture, do the right thing, don't burn it out, but at the same time, don't let it get sluggish. If it gets sluggish, then it doesn't breathe, right? It just
it's its own way of burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So part of making sure the system and the engine goes and it's efficient, what do you guys think we've achieved at this point? That was in September. We were checking what the pulse was. We are now here, and it looks like the pulse has, there's still a lot of positivity for sure, but it comes with work. You want it to be a well-oiled machine, right? So the question is, at this point, do you guys see yourself moving more, or at least expanding, or how has the pulse changed ultimately for this space for you?
Gotten a little bit more steady, I think.
Steady.
Yeah, if we're going to go with the pulse metaphor. So, because I think one way to also reference pulse is like a rhythm, right? And so the rhythm of this summer was very much getting things together, DIYing it as hard as we could, and in some ways putting together the show by the skin of our teeth a few times, right?
Right.
And that's how these things go when you're first getting started. I think you're really figuring things out ad hoc on the fly. We got that mixer the day before the first show.
Correct.
Yeah, and then had to learn it and figure out how to set it up and all that kind of stuff.
Rado.
So
Thank you, Rado, Peter.
Shout out.
Always appreciate you.
So, anyway, so then, we got that done and got a rhythm there where all of a sudden things were working very, very smoothly. We had our crew that was putting things together beautifully every time, and we were able to get good audio and good video pretty much without a hitch by the end of the season.
Brilliant.
So then things slowed down during the fall, and now we're finding ourselves kind of at first building things up again into a new podcast, right? And so there's a pulse to that. At first, again, just barely figuring things out in time, and then getting things set up.
What?
Yeah. This is episode 1 might have sounded very professional, but no, but that's
this one might as well, possibly.
Hopefully it doesn't get worse. But that's the thing is having those moments when you're figuring something out new and having to scramble to get it done, and then figuring out a system for it that works really, really well, and then allowing yourself to kind of innovate on that system. And that's basically what we've done all this year. We created a system over the summer for bringing in people and having them play really, really well-produced shows, and it was awesome. And now in the winter, we started this podcast, but because we already had this infrastructure set up to bring people down here and create, then we were able to use that momentum and bring it into this. And so that's kind of the pulse. It's steady. It's having a system in place for making good things.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think it was, we kind of did go through that first, trying to keep with some kind of a foot race marathon metaphor. We kind of started out not even maybe being somewhat of a runner because we were musicians. We knew what we were doing in that way, right? We could put on a show, but figuring the rest of it out kind of as we went, and then getting to the end of like our first stage and being like, okay, and then we kind of took a moment and got to spend times not focusing on anything show related, not anything music related, which was nice. And then absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? As you are away from it for a while and you think back and it's like, man, that was really enjoyable. Then all of a sudden it starts going, okay, like my heart's in that direction. Hey guys, what's going on here? What's happening? The podcast comes along, and like you said, it has its own pulse for sure, right? But it is, I think, for us, a reaction to like getting the blood pumping, to playing the music again, ultimately. Yeah. Not that I want to stop doing this by any means, but it is, at the end of the day, for me, it's about the music. Always. Period.
Yeah. And I think we're looking forward to a much improved second season. Yeah. Again, having everything in place now and knowing our process, having a better idea of the things we're going to run up against. Yep. That's all going to keep that pulse more steady and allow us to keep growing this thing. And yeah, that's where that's at. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
I was just thinking about pulse and like taking hikes, and that's exactly what it felt like today or last weekend, just going up these hills, and you're feeling your heart pumping differently because you're getting new challenges thrown at you, but you're becoming stronger in the process.
Yes.
And that's what this is essentially doing here, but with music. But that was just something I was considering.
I agree. Yeah. And it is, at the end of the day, it is about honing in muscle and muscle memory and reflexive muscle, right?
Yeah,
that's what it is. Once the first Primavera Roadhouse show that I edited took me on and off working in between, kind of like getting headaches, like in the laptop, like doing the thing. Took me 3 days and about 14 hours.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the season, Sarah and I would get together at like 9:00 Sunday morning, and usually by say 6 p.m. or so, we would have the show cut. Wow. And like it was ready to go.
Wow.
And so just that kind of thing, like that's reflexive muscle, right? That's just honing in and not having to think too much about it, and that's the learning experience. And it's been awesome, and it makes me feel very, very empowered moving into this year and this season. I'm very empowered.
Definitely.
Yeah, really enjoyable. It's a blast. So, guys, I mean, unless you have anything in particular, I think we just kind of call it a night there. What do you guys think? Or has anybody got anything they want to bring up?
I just wanted to just talk about for a little bit the absolute madness in the stock market and the cryptocurrency
let's
market.
do the thing.
Yeah, we don't need to get into the nitty gritty too much, but the memes have been hilarious. Oh goodness! So,
what's the best one you've seen?
well, okay, so I won't point to anything in specific. Well, actually, the best meme that I've seen, if we're talking about memes in the sense of like memetics, is defined by Hitchens. That dude. Anyway, the term meme has been around for a while, actually,
Right.
since before internet memes. Or it's effectively how ideas spread between people, right? And so you can effectively, pretty much anything can be a meme. But basically, the Wall Street bets buying GameStop shares meme, right? And how the energy from that actually motivated a ton of people to enter the market. And, obviously now GME stocks are down and people are probably going to lose a whole lot of money. But the interesting takeaway from all of that is the amount of energy and motivation that can come from just an idea that can spread through a community, right? There was this thing that happened where some traders figured out that GME was, there was a lot of short positions on GME. People had already been long GME for a while as at the beginning of the year because they were restructuring. And then all of a sudden this thing catches on and just moves through these internet forums like fire. And you have a real world consequence that exists because of something that formed in the digital world. So what that means is it effectively, real world in the sense that money is real when you debate that. But we're entering a really interesting time where ideas, this is actually more of like the promise of the internet as we were originally sold it, in that a group of people can spread ideas and affect change outside of the archaic boundaries that have been put in place over time. Mm-hmm. And that is a really interesting thing.
Yes. And
then you end up having people like Elon Musk tweeting a 4-letter word. He tweeted Doge, right? At the midway through last week. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Dogecoin is a meme cryptocurrency that is based off the Shiba Inu Doge meme that came out in like 2012 or 2013. And it's been way below market. Well, not there is no market value for it, insofar as it's a meme currency. But all of a sudden it shoots up to 8%, goes back down to 2%, and now it's back up to 8% again. And this is, again, this meme energy I'm talking about. There's no reason to value GME or Dogecoin or anything like that outside of the fact that it's a funny thing and a lot of people are into it. Yep. And in a world that's like postmodern, postmodernist, post-irony, and everything like that, especially among young people that actually have purchasing power for the first time in their lives, we're running into an entirely new field of what it even means to exist in our institutions. The potential for for ideas to spread virally, whether they actually have inherent value or not, is huge right now, and we're only going to see more of it. So, buy Doge.
Hashtag.
You must have found a way to invest.
I was working on it still. Actually, no, I did go for some crypto finally over the last weekend, and then like an idiot, I was up and sold some Bitcoin last night, and then today Elon Musk made another announcement with respect to Tesla and crypto or whatever, and it like shot up another 15%.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm fine. Like, I'm glad it didn't drop, but
Sure.
like, yeah. So I looked at it this morning. I was like, oh no.
No, we are in a terribly interesting time. A really interesting time, and I like your take on it. I like that it was the promise of the internet, or the internet as it was promised to us originally. And I hope you're right. I do. I hope that this is. I hope this is how we're changing governance. I hope it is how we're changing the value of things, how we value things, how we allocate resource. It's an interesting time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it can be for good or for ill,
It can.
right? Because the ease with which ideas can spread across the internet, we've already seen how that can be incredibly destructive. I mean, in a lot of ways, Donald Trump was a meme president.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he was.
Right.
Yes.
Like, and whether, no matter what side of the aisle you fall on, there's no doubt that the spread, like literally this spread of the energy behind this idea of what he was a major point in the political process. And I don't think post-Trump we're going to see less of that. We're going to see more. And that's actually, I mean, another topic we can touch on here with respect to the meme issue is how many corporations are starting to try and embrace this as a way of advertising. Right. This whole issue, again, to go back to the GameStop thing, where Robinhood froze buying of the GameStop stock just after the run on the GameStop stock. They're doing better now than they were before, even though they took an action that probably screwed over customers. Because in this case, no publicity was bad publicity. Even though people were hearing, Robinhood, this commission-free, or I believe it's commission-free, whatever, commission-free trading network was screwing over its users. People don't hear screwing over its users, or they don't care. They hear, commission-free trading network. They got free press. There we go. And the crazy thing about this is memes are effectively free ad copy, because the companies that use them, they're not creating it. I mean, they probably go through a bunch of like meetings or whatever to say like whether they use it or not, but companies are actually able to capitalize on the spread of memes. The best example of this lately is the ocean spray guy from TikTok.
Unfamiliar.
Listening to the Dreams Fleetwood Mac thing? No?
Oh, yeah,
You know what I'm talking about.
Is he like skateboarding or something?
Yeah, he's longboarding.
You're right,
He's longboarding down. Ocean Spray sent him a truck full of Ocean Spray. Not because it was out of the goodness of Ocean Spray's heart, naturally, but because this dude made a load of money
So many eyes round.
for Ocean Spray. Yeah, exactly. Like what a company would kill in any sense to have that kind of free publicity. But the crazy thing about it is, right, you can't buy that virality. You can only capitalize on it after the fact.
And do you believe that an ad agency could even pitch that idea effectively?
At this time, no.
But that's where it's headed.
I think that companies and corporations are making a lot of big plays right now to try and create things that have the potential to go viral and mimetic. However, the issue with that is it's kind of like these conversations that we've had around like art and what is art with bad intention or bad art. And you can tell, or at least the people that are the arbiters of what go viral or not, the people that care about the stuff or that would share stuff on the internet, you can tell when stuff is designed to pander to you and designed to go viral. And the more you try to make it that way, the less likely it is to go viral.
You say you can, as if everyone can. But I fear that not everyone can.
In terms of differentiating?
Yes.
Well, yeah, and you'll see that to some extent. Though I think once, at least at this point, the people that are kind of propagating memes, I can't wait for the history classes. The people that are propagating these things are not necessarily the same people that are the end consumer. So while what I mean by that is you've got the people that are kind of deep internet, and then you've got the people that are kind of casual in the internet sphere. The ones in here that are more savvy are, in general, not always, but those are the ones that are more tuned in, that are the ones that are going to determine what catches on.
Right.
Those are effectively the ones at the front of the spearhead of meme culture.
Sure.
No, for real.
No,
Kids,
yeah,
kids
totally.
on TikTok.
Yep.
You know, people that have been on 4chan and Reddit for a decade. You know, that's an entirely different. But those are the ones that really kind of make that area up. You can have, you know, things that go semi-viral on Facebook or whatever because grandma and Karen share them or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a core to it that hasn't been able to be penetrated yet. Now through machine learning and, you know, all the other fun stuff, you know, you could potentially see something like that. But I don't think that's going to happen at this point because, yeah, marketers would kill for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Elon Musk is he one of these core group influencers? And
Yes.
do you think he's trolling sometimes? Just to see the impact.
I think it's fairly obvious that compared to a lot of high-profile billionaires or company leaders, Elon Musk really understands the internet.
Yes.
Right.
I would argue that in no small portion of Tesla's success has to do with Musk's inherent understanding of how these things work.
Yes.
Mostly because Musk is one of them in a lot of ways. One could argue that Bezos probably was at some point as well, but you don't have that same level of understanding that Elon Musk has of this situation, which is why he's able to do these things and literally command markets in a way we haven't seen because he's able to harness the power of the meme.
You are spot on. I think about this all the time now, and Shirley and I have talked about this. Elon Musk is no doubt a highly intelligent individual.
Sure.
But one of the things that he is the genius at the most is marketing. Mm-hmm. That dude knows how to market. When he lit up that blunt on Joe Rogan, he actually says, if you listen to him, he goes, I don't actually smoke it that much. But that's not what people took from it. I remember stuff coming out of, man, he smokes dope all the time. It wasn't dope. Nobody really says that but me anymore. But, it's like that was the takeaway from it. And also that same episode, if you recall, he's talking about digging a pit. And he keeps saying pit. Pit. We dug a pit. No, it was just a pit. A pit. A pit.
Sure.
He was getting inside you, right? He was boring inside of you and capturing. He was building another meme moment is what he was doing. So that he can, with with 4 little letters, put in a particular order, affect a market.
And that's the kind of thing that an advertising agency or a board or the people that are going to be making the decisions at a corporate level don't have the know-how or ability
Agreed.
to do right now.
Right.
To some extent, memes are not very much a organizational thing. The interesting thing about it for the most part, and this is going back to when we're talking about like memes in the traditional colloquial sense as image macros that are being shared. They're created generally by one person. And then it gets shared, and then it's funny, and then it gets shared more and more. It's a really unique form of creativity that the internet created. And part of the uniqueness, and I think the art behind it, is that it is made by one person, and it's an expression of that person's personality.
Sure.
And so that's effectively what Musk does, is he expresses himself. He is a meme, right? And people love that. And you can't. There's no ocean spray meme. There's a guy on a longboard living his best life, chugging ocean spray. That's the meme because there's a person behind it. Yeah. Maybe corporations will be able to harness that, but in some ways, I think it's some more act of defiance against corporations and advertising and corporate content.
Earlier, when you were talking about the wave of energy, groups of people to come together and just make this wave in markets and make this wave in music, and not necessarily being told what to do to consume, but just we gravitate to this naturally. And having one individual person being able to kind of highlight that authentic expression is what makes it so meme worthy, because we can all relate to this. You know, and that's the difference between like memes and advertising and like traditional marketing and like the formulatic, like step 1, step 2.
Right. Advertising is generally an approximation of, let's like a cross section of a number of people or a demographic. It's something designed to appeal to a swath of people.
Right.
The broader, the better, generally, unless you're going for targeting. Something that goes viral that's created by a person, Ocean Spray Guy, that's a authentic reflection of humanity that then we can relate to. You can see yourself in that person. You can't see yourself generally in a character in an advertisement, because that character is generic. There's no personality. We like things that are reflections of ourselves.
Yes.
And so
you want to be that dude.
Yeah,
right?
well,
You want to be on that longboard. You want that
Maybe.
cran
Definitely.
grape juice.
you want to
Right?
feel.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to feel like that. I want that music
but
going.
you don't want the grape juice. You don't want the Fleetwood Mac. What you want is the feeling of the vibe that he has.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
That's not
Oh, yes.
necessarily,
Yes.
you know, Austin on
It's
a
not the product,
longboard,
no,
you know,
no.
it's
Yeah.
not, or it's not, you know, it's not that. It's the feeling that is evoked from that. And again, that's what advertising has been always trying to do.
Yes.
But this
Right.
is more personal, because you can see yourself in another person as a reflection of, you know, consciousness or
Does
whatever.
that make memes art in a way? If we look at them and we see ourselves in them and we relate to them and they influence minds, is that our art for our generation?
I think that's a great point. Yes.
Yeah.
And again, this is just what we call memes in a colloquial sense is just one permutation of what a meme is
Right.
in an idea sense, right?
Right.
So yeah, absolutely, and it's an art form because it can be an expression, a unique expression of an individual's person and energy. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, so we went down that road.
Yeah. Thanks. I needed to get that out of my system, guys.
That was good. Anyone else?
No, that was
Right?
We have to end on that.
All right. I think that
That's
was
good.
good. All right, guys. So Wednesday, Subaqauria. It'll be Wednesday when this is coming out, or post Wednesday, of course, obviously. So check that out. We'll put all the stuff up on the screen. Eric Drew of weheal.org is here next week, and then we've got Kiva coming up soon. Our buddy Daniel is going to be down. Plenty of other people are going to get involved. We've got some of our tech buddies. We're going to have some good tech conversations, I hope. So, and then, other great stuff. So, Unfriendly Black Hottie, the Red stories, all the good stuff coming out here, the paintings.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
That was fun.
Good night,
All right.
y'all.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, guys.